Hello, everyone. Welcome to the UT Mile Builders Thursday Night General Hangout. Thursday night's hangouts are for the general discussion on mile railroading that we all can set a topic to discuss for the night. My name is Johnny Reb from Southeast Rails. Thursday's hangouts are the proud sponsor of the UT Mile Builders, the EMAG, and the UT Mile Builders Live Show. You can go to utmilebuilders.com, pick up the schedule for the Tuesday night hangouts, who's presenting, what the topic is. Also gives you a schedule for the Mile Builders live show, which is once a month. And the e-magazine is bi-monthly, comes out every 2 months. You can sign up, get a notification, get the magazine. I'd like to ask that if you're smoking or drinking alcohol, please turn your camera off. And we'd like for you to mute your mic when not speaking to limit the background noise. And I want to thank everybody for joining in tonight's show. We've got a fair amount of people here on the panel, and hopefully we'll get some good topics going. I guess I'll start it out again with my usual opening question, and that is, on your layouts, what drove you to doing either prototypical or freelance? Meaning, it's the railroad you like, the space you've got, or what? I know Andy's always telling us, well, the railroad designed his for him. So, anybody got any thoughts or comments on that? You want to start it, Phil? Your mic's muted.
I went with what I wanted because I would say it's a freelance more than prototypical, that's for sure. Limited space. I tried to shove, 10 pounds of layout into a 5-pound area. And so I had to leave out a lot, change a lot. Probably could have done more with in scale, but HO is the size that I decided to go with. And I'm modeling for myself. I don't ever plan on having a group of guys to come over and operate. I'm the only one in my area that I know about. The closest person to me that's in it would be Jim, and he's a good 45, 50 minutes away from me. So,
thank goodness.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to get together once a week and run trains together. So, I'm doing whatever turns my fancy, and it changes from week to week, day to day, and moment to moment. That's
Mr. Bob, since you come in late, I'll pick on you now.
Oh, no.
I think you missed the question. What prompted you, while designing your layout, to either run prototypical or freelance? In space, size?
Well, I kind of decided that my layout would be whatever it turned out to be. It was mainly decided by the space that I had available. And since the basement space that I want to put a layout in was being used, and used a lot, I was like, I'm getting a little antsy. I need to make something. So I said, well, there's nothing up near the ceiling. I've always wanted to try that, and decided I'm just going to put it up near the ceiling and make it into whatever happens, really. So I don't really have anything prototypical. It's just sort of mainly for fun.
And it's more like a shelf layout too, right?
Yeah.
And Bob, there's a lot of us that hit. Bob, you got a layout picture, don't you? Show us how your track goes through your different rooms. And maybe you could show that. And I know most of us here have seen it, but.
Well, I can show you my layout plan. Okay, Come on. So why is my... Oh, there it is. It was just kind of locked up. I couldn't move my screen. Can't get to my icons. Okay. Bring that up. Do a screen share. Oh, you don't tell me. It's not going to let me screen share anything.
Yeah, welcome Thursday
Again.
night. I had a problem tonight trying to get this started. That's the reason why I'm running a little late.
Yeah. But anyway, if for those who have not seen it, it's up near the ceiling. Some light up there. So kind of goes all the way around my room. And comes all the way back around by the bookshelf. And of course back in one big circle. By the door, you can see a section there kind of goes over the top of the door and out through the return air ducts above the hallway. And so that is a tunnel system basically to go from room to room. Goes into my bedroom, around that room, across the famous popsicle bridge that I built, popsicle stick bridge anyway, and then goes back across the hallway into the room behind me on the other end, goes around that room, and comes back into the man cave here. That's part 2 of 3 phases. Third phase is in that other room. It'll switch out and go through a wall and out into the living room and basically go down the wall, around the corner, cross over another double track bridge around that other room that's over there, come back, go into the original room it came into, go around that room, go back down the same wall and back down the other end of the other half of that track, come back around, and eventually make its way back into the bedroom that it came out of. And then, I can have 3 different trails basically that the train could go on. So if I want to just keep it quiet, I'll just run it around my office here, and if I really want to get exciting, take it out and through the bedrooms and out in the rest of the house.
Wake everybody up.
Yep. Especially put a sound engine on or something. I probably will have sound engines running around so I can hear it.
Yeah.
And who knows? I plan on getting a wireless controller and being able to walk around and manipulate things if I need to, like a derailment or something.
Hopefully you'll be able to transmit through the walls, or you may have to stick up 2 of them. Keep one in the hallway there.
Yeah. The track length is about 80 feet.
Yeah.
Of distance from one end to the other, but it's about 300 feet of track actually.
Yeah, going around the rooms. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Andy. Andy.
Yeah, he'd probably, Bob, you probably need to look at using Wi-Fi, because your Wi-Fi will cover the whole house,
Right.
versus, say, NCE's wireless is a little more targeted, and most people with anything close to the size of layout, especially with walls, but even in an open basement, most of those guys have to have a repeater. So Mike Complone's layout is about 50 or 55 feet in one direction, and he had to have a repeater for his NCE system. So if your basement is similar in length, you'll probably have to have a repeater if you're going to use the NCE cab.
Yeah.
But we throttle with an iPod wherever you have wireless internet, and you don't even need a whole lot of it. By the way, that's an awesome picture you're showing, Miles. That's a really nice. That's really awesome. I don't know if I'd heard you talk about your John Allen inspired layout, floor to ceiling scenery, but I don't know that I had seen a picture of it.
Well, I don't know if y'all are hearing me. I'm getting the sound by about seconds late. You hear me okay, or are you hearing double sounds?
Yeah,
I hear you.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Google's not been working real well for us here lately. It's
Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, that's the original layout in Texas. If the sound goes back, it'll stop me. I really wanted to have it so that there were no control panels showing. Everything was floor to ceiling scenery. It had a cyclorama ceiling, so they're all coved, so you couldn't tell how far you were from the background. At that time, I was running PSI Dynatrol.
I remember Dynatrol. Boy, I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
And all the turnouts were thrown by the train crew as they walked around. It was a pure point-to-point. All railroads in the United States are legislated to run east-west, so mine ran north-south. I had a yard which is behind the camera that was up at about 4 feet, and then I had a yard that was to the left of the camera that was at about 3 feet. And then I had some dead-end sightings, obviously, that you can see depicted there in the middle. I had Corkscrew Gulch. If you're not familiar with that, that's where they had a turntable on the side of the mountain, and the trains would come up arranged so that the car order was engine, caboose, and consist. They would go through the turntable in a kind of a complicated fashion, and coming out of the turntable, they would suddenly be configured engine, consist, caboose.
Oh.
Both legs of the, for those that are interested, both legs of the leads into the turntable on the side of the mountain, which was a dead-end turntable, were downhill. So as the train approached from either the south, either coming up the mountain or coming down to McHenry's, both legs that fed through a switch to the turnout or through the turntable were a downgrade to the turntable. So they'd set the brakes on the caboose and the cars as they came in, run the engine in, turn it on the turntable, bring it out on the other leg. If they were going downhill, they would have come in on the high side, set the brakes, turn the engine, come out on the low side, and then in one of the most dangerous moves known to mankind, they would let the brakes off and let it roll down towards the turntable, where they would set the brakes hopefully before going off the mountain, and the engine would then back onto the train and pull it the rest of the way down. And this railroad, the key operating factor for it was that turntable, because in order for my operators to go from the north end to the south end or vice versa, they had to go through Corkscrew. It operated just like the real thing.
Well, that was the world before OSHA.
Way before.
Yeah, way before OSHA. You wouldn't pull that off anymore, but they used to do a lot of things. I mean, the roof walks and, you know, even in the 1950s that I modeled, the roof walks and the brake wheels and the guys who would walk the roof walks of moving train equipment. It's just amazing what they did versus today's regulations.
Well, it's you know, it's absolutely amazing to me that you know, you look at the logging pictures and the guys are riding the logs and they've got a soft hat on, and you know, I mean, it's just amazing that they even knew, many of them that did live through it. Anyway, to answer your question originally, I built that railroad. I did several iterations of that railroad over the 20 or 30 years after I left San Antonio. And when I got to Kansas City, I guess I was kind of burnt out on trying to do Colorado scenery. And all those railroads were built in ON3. So when I got here, I decided that I wanted to do ON30, and I wanted to do big city scenery. So my railroad is the Kansas City Terminal Railway, which was a real railroad here in Kansas City. And all they did was switch boxcars and consists and cuts of cars between railroads within the city of Kansas City. And so that's what I do. I switch boxcars from one peninsula to another, to another, to another. We can operate about 6 operators at one time. And we do it all in ON30.
And the prototype
Which is,
you were modeling was a standard gauge prototype, though, right? That you've recreated in there.
oh yeah, it's totally fictional that my railroad survived, or the narrow gauge survived here in Kansas City. I'm not sure we ever had a narrow gauge unless it was an industrial railroad here in Kansas City at all.
Right.
So yeah. Go
No, I
Royals.
like the effect you're going for. I mean, the videos I've watched from you with the idea of, I love the canyons of buildings effect that used to not be seen so much, but now you've got people like George Celios and even Rod Stewart who are building these, canyons of building style of scenery that are just incredible. I can see
that's
that.
what my best friend John Lorenzo used to say. He was building. He's a big New York, Long Island Railroad type guy, but he always said, "I built the canyons of Colorado. He built the canyons of New York," and that's pretty much the way of it,
Yep.
We got a question, comment up here. Hey guys, just wanted to say, like watching the shows, just getting back into the Mile Railroad vibe. That's from Lee. So we can see questions, Lee. And the starting question was, what motivated you to do the layout that you did? Versus freelance to prototype. Was it space or whatever? And then from there, we just kind of going with whatever topic pops up.
Yeah, I kind of drifted off of that subject, I guess. But I was kind of fascinated with the picture that Miles had up there. But I ended up with prototype because, this is like number 12 layout for me or so. And although I had modeled prototypes before, I had never modeled anything prototypical. I'd always modeled L&N or something on a fictitious branch line. And I didn't really follow the prototype to any high degree or standard. I just liked L&N equipment, and I recreated something that looked like a coal branch. But this time around, I kind of went, ever so slightly overboard. But in all the modeling I've ever done, it's always been proto-freelance. Close to something like the real thing, but not anywhere close to prototypical. And I really can't say what attracted me to prototype modeling per se, but I'm seeing all these other people, like Tony Custer. My favorite railroad, the railroad that I, my first love of model railroading was, the late 80s model railroaders, where Tony Custer's Allegheny Midland was on the cover so many times. And his proto-freelance railroad was incredible. I just fell in love with it. And I modeled from that same proto-freelance concept for a lot of years. But he also has done the switch and tore out that beautiful layout and now built the nickel plate to an exact year, exactly matching timetable and train order operations. And I think the thing that pushed me to prototype was not so much the modeling or the layout, but the operation. So, my goal is to exactly duplicate Norfolk and Western operations in 1950. Exactly duplicate it. I'm going to model a timetable for a particular day, and if the passenger train was running late on that day, then we'll find some reason to cause it to be late on my day, but we're, operate exactly the right way. My operators will be watching the Trainmaster TV episode that Miles done about hand signals, and I do not want my guys talking to each other. They couldn't hear each other over the locomotive anyway. I want them using hand signals to the ground man and everything. And helper locomotive operating with, pushing the train over the grade. The only way those guys can talk to each other is with a whistle. That's it. So when my guys are operating, they can talk about anything they want to. Football, anything. I don't care. You just can't talk about running trains except with a whistle.
Also wanted to let everybody know, the viewers, that the Q&A's up and running, so feel free to type your questions in. We'll be glad to try and answer them. If we don't have an answer, we'll try and point you in the right direction. Back to you guys. Miles, you were showing us a building there earlier.
Yes. It's the building that we're going to do for the Amherst show coming up at the end of January. One of them, anyway. It's for the make and take. And let's see if I can get the light kind of sort of right on it.
Yeah.
It's a paper building, and I cut out the window opening, put the frame on the front. This is from Clever Models. It's free. You can download one. This one's HO. Cut cut out the window anyway, put the frame on top, put the header and the sill on top of that, put the window mounted behind everything, put the lowercase window behind that. So there's about 6 layers of paper. Hard to tell, but you can tell it's got depth, I think, from the shadow line.
Yeah, yeah, I see depth in it.
Same thing on the front door. You can kind of see the depth on it as well. And it's done the same way, layered in. Hinges are on top of the braces are on top of the door, and frames on top of that. It's all braced from the inside. There we go.
Yeah, it kind of washed out. The light's washing it out.
Pull it back a little bit, maybe so you can see a little better. Maybe not. Anyway, it's got all kinds of bracing up there inside. Anyway, the idea is that you'll walk away from the clinic with at least the start of a finished building. I won't guarantee that you'll be able to do it. This took me about 4 hours to get this far, and we only have 2 hours in the clinic, so we may not get that far. But it's one of the things we're going to do for Amherst.
The bracing that you did in there, was that wood, or did you use cardboard too on that?
I used cardboard up on the top as stiffeners to square it, but otherwise I have a ring of wood on the bottom and a ring of wood around up on the top. And I was dropping it on the computer and whatever. I mean, it really makes it strong, and it'll hold the sides nice and straight so that they won't warp.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all paper reinforced. Really gets pretty strong. I printed this on some 100% rag, content photo paper, really high quality paper. Runs about $70 for 50 sheets. I mean, it's not cheap, but man, it makes great buildings because it's matte, absolutely flat, won't warp, good stuff.
So you already printing? Yeah, so you're already printing the color and the weathering onto it then before you build it.
Yes, it's actually a photograph, from Clever that they put together and stacked in, similar to the Evan Design softwares, the model builder software, where you're actually taking photographs of siding or photographs of windows or whatever and combining them to make the build. And I think, to a certain extent, I don't think you can beat it because Mother Nature is present in every one of these. The shadow lines from the sun, the weathering. I mean, it's off of a real building, so I've had people come up to some of my buildings that I've done this way, especially on the siding where it's shiplap like this, and touch it because they want to, feel the boards, and you can't. Of course, it's flat.
Yeah.
But it absolutely cools the eye and the brain. I mean, these paper buildings are absolutely marvelous. My only drawback to them, as far as I'm concerned, is you really need to seal them with something. And I'm not so sure that I've been satisfied with the sealant yet. I'm going to try some of the Krylon flat sprays next and see how they do. But the problem is when you go to put this in scenery and you put anything wet around the bottom of it, ground foam, gravel, whatever, it's going to wick into this paper and it changes the color and it looks like heck. So, that's my only drawback to the paper is the fact that it is ink on paper, and you've got to protect it some way so that it doesn't run and have problems. Otherwise, they look.
You might go to. You got a Hobbytown, USA near you?
Yes.
I was kind of thinking about this myself. In the RC department or the airplane department, where you're doing Boss Woods bills, kits. Excuse me. They have what's called dope, clear dope.
Yes, for airplanes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a sealer. I was wondering if that might work.
It might, yeah. Anything
from
to
the
seal the water out. Yeah, I think I'm going to try several different things because I'd like to be able to tell the students what to do, as well as knowing for myself.
Yeah, I know now. Hobbytown USA actually sells 2-size balls. They've got actually a little bitty ball. It's only about maybe between $2-3, and it's like maybe an ounce or something like that. Where the bigger balls are going to be about 3-4 ounces.
Yeah.
Cost you $10. Like see, they came out with a small bottle.
I'm going to go out shopping tomorrow. I'll see if I can't find some.
Yeah, I don't know if that'd work or not, but it is a sealer. So, and you said you have balsa wood at the bottom of it, so that would seal that. I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it sealed planes up so that the fuel that comes out of the exhaust, the burnt fuel, didn't eat into your balsa wood. That's what that was for. Yeah, help
Okay.
protect the
You're,
frame and the your skin,
mhm.
and it stiffened the wood up too a little bit, made it a little bit more rigid.
Yeah. If you take crazy glue and rub it on, the wood or on the paper, whatever. Take a Walmart sack because that crazy glue doesn't stick to a Walmart sack, and rub it to smooth it out, and then freeze it, and it's just like fiberglassing either the wood or the paper. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, you do freeze it.
Yeah, spray it, to freeze it, and it'll. I mean, accelerator.
Oh, okay. I
Spray the
thought you meant put
accelerator
it
on
in
it.
the freezer for a little while. So,
I mean, harden it quickly.
yeah.
But I spray it with the spritzer, and man, it's just like fiberglassing a piece of wood or a piece of paper. It's amazing.
Mm,
Telling Andy about that, and I think he was going to try it on some stuff. But pretty amazing stuff.
yeah.
Anyway,
Al, you got an answer to the question, or
Um, More freelance for myself, and more because I've been out of it for a long time. Is that the question you're asking?
yeah? What prompted you to do the kind of layout that you're doing? Yeah, the size. Did you want to do prototypical, freelance, or what?
Well, some of you know I'm on my sixth layout, and prototypical. I don't really have anything in my area that I would like to model. Freelance is more for me because I can sit and get to an area that I can run the trains and relax and add different aspects, city lights, traffic lights, or whatever. And it's more for me is to I tend to go more for freelance to get the younger generation into it, because if you get into a situation where somebody is saying, "Oh, boy, you should do it this way. This is the way to do it," you're kind of taking away from the experience for the younger generation to get into.
Yeah.
But for myself, it's Jim knows, and maybe a couple other people know. I started on a 4x5 sheet of plywood after 20 something years, and I'm up to a 19.5 by 10.5 in a year. It's not done, but it's progressing. It's kind of like what you enjoy. Do you enjoy a lot watching the trains? Do you want to? Everybody has their different situation. Andy likes to do prototypical. This person likes to run yards. This one likes to run this. For me, it's I can come down on a Friday night, turn the trains on, kick back and relax, and forget about the rest of the week. And then, in the meantime, I can do scenery and do stuff and try to make it a little bit more prototypical, or not prototypical, more hands-on. Doing switching and stuff like that.
And there's awesome layouts of all of those sorts, like Kim Patterson. I mean, he's one of he's model railroader royalty as well. And Kim Patterson's layout's really, really impressive. But he is not the least bit into operations. He's into photography, if anything, really, as a specialty. But his layout is designed for the rail fan experience. So his idea is he can stand beside his layout, and watch trains go by as if he were, out on the main line without having to go outside to go rail fan. So, I get the excitement about all those different kinds, and I've built a few of those different kind of layouts. And the rail fan experience is a really cool layout style to build. It's fun to watch trains go by. I built a bunch of those, and I got bored with them over time. So I like what you're talking about, Philip, and I think it makes a lot of sense to build one of a rail fanning style, but build a little bit of switching into it so you can have a little bit of fun, so that you can expand your interest as time goes on.
All right. How you doing, Donnie?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. See, you made it in, Andrew. I was going to tell you, look in the comments of the post on the community. For those that don't know, this is Donnie. He's one of our younger members. He and I were talking in one of the hangouts, and talked to him about because he is somewhat of a guru on decoders, sound decoders, mobile decoders. So we were talking about him coming in at the beginning of a hangout. I don't know, do you want to do that tonight, Donnie, or you want to wait and we get a game plan on this?
Either one's fine. I don't really mind. I mean, I would rather do it now while I'm here.
All right, so if anybody's got any questions about decoders, mobile decoders, sound decoders, what works best in what engine, Mr. Donnie is
I don't
the
have a
guru.
question, but I'm going to bug out on you. Sorry to be so short. I'll have to go. See y'all later.
All right, Miles, we appreciate you being here.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.
I will have to say, Jim, there's a glare on your screen. Every time you hold your head a certain way, it looks like you got a pencil stuck right under your nose. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, all the lights behind them are just reflecting off the camera or something.
Yeah, it made a straight line across.
Maybe he did have a pencil in his nose.
Oh, now it's just got a halo.
Oh, it goes to Chris's past.
Yeah.
More like a rusty halo.
Yeah.
What, you were asking a question about
Yeah, that light's
about
right.
the
There we
color
go.
Yeah.
That's better.
Jim, the other day, I know you got where you liking the lock sounds.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to ask me about my layout. Here, I got a whole presentation ready to go, and gosh darn, I feel left out now.
No, I'm going to do that, but Donnie's, this is school night, so.
Oh, okay.
I like to try and get Donnie on first, so.
Yeah, when I bought my first engine, it was a Bachmann with an easy sound, or with a what do they call it, a Bachmann DCC economy sound or something like that. Value sound.
Sound value.
Sound value. And for a couple of days, it was really cool to hear the engine start up and be able to blow the horn and ring the bell. But then it just kind of got annoying because that's all it did. It didn't really do much different sounds at all. And then I had a chance to hear an SD40-2 with a lock sound. And I went, wow, that sounds great. So the guy that was never going to buy another sound engine, and definitely wasn't going to spend more than $50 on an engine, all of a sudden owns 4 Intermountain SD40-2s with lock sounds, because I just think the sound is fabulous. So if you've got a value sound engine and that's all you've ever heard, I would definitely say at least give the lock sounds a listen. They're reasonably priced compared to the wow sounds and whatnot, but I'm just enjoying the heck out of them.
Well, to answer that question, what's the best decoder and reliable? Well, I mean, I'm guessing, what's the best reliable decoder? It's not really a good answer for that because they're all, none of them are bad per se. I mean, definitely some are better than others, and if we're talking just regular decoders, I would definitely have to say that TCS or ESU are definitely the best. Even for sound, I would say that TCS and ESU would be the top 2 because they're one, the most expensive. I mean, that's just not to say that they're the best, but you get what you pay for those, and definitely there's going to be other ones that are less. Like Digitrax will be the cheapest, but sometimes with Digitrax it's hard to make things control correctly. But they're definitely reliable decoders, and they'll work forever. And none of them are particularly bad. But as far as if you want something that's going to work just about flawlessly, I would say a TCS or an ESU. I mean, there's definitely everything else in between.
Right, and the ESU, just so everybody knows, is a lock sound.
Or lock pilot, which is the non-sound decoder.
Right, but the lock, a lot of people, when you see it displayed, they don't say ESU. They'll say it's an engine with lock, LOK. So. And while he's doing that, I'll also have to say that the engine, the motor control with the lock sound DCC chip blows the cheap Bachmann right out of the water. I mean, I couldn't get the Bachmann to. Well, all right. Am I around my circle layout with the Bachmann? The slowest I could get it to go would be about 4 minutes for a complete circle, complete revolution. And with the lock sound, I can get it to take about 13 minutes around that same revolution. That's how much slower that I'm able to really get that engine to slow. I mean, it's just great. Speed step one, and it's just crawling along nice and smoothly. So I enjoy the motor control of the lock sound chip as well.
You're talking about the ones that come in the blue box, and it says DCC installed on it. Those are actually made by Lens, and those are really cheap decoders. I think Lens makes those for Bachmann for like $1. That's why they are no good. I mean, if I had to say that there was a worst, it's definitely that decoder. And there's a reason why that decoder is not on the market, and it only comes in Bachmann locomotives, is because it's what it is. So I mean, if you get a Bachmann locomotive with that, it's really not worth spending the extra money. I mean, if you have the option, but a lot of Bachmann stuff comes with that, and that's your only choice. And my recommendation would be to pull that out and put something else in it.
Yep, that's what Donnie did for me, because I had a Bachmann engine, I had the Lentz in it, and right here, I started and run right. So I called Donnie in a hangout, and he put me on to a good mobile decoder, which is just motor control, for a decent price too, meaning under $25. Now that engine runs like a champ.
So not to say that Lens sucks. Actually, Lens is a really good decoder company, but that decoder that they make for Bachmann really is no good. But their better decoders run in the low 30s, about $30 to $32, and their regular decoders, which is called the Standard Plus, is actually a very good decoder. I have a few myself.
Well, like you said, they were making those specifically for Bachmann. They made them really cheap, so you couldn't expect it to do a whole lot or last for really a long time.
Yeah. Right. And in Bachmann's defense now, and I don't know it for personal reference, but I have heard guys that buy the Bachmann Spectrum Steams, and they love the sound decoders and the motor control of those. So
because that's a Soundtrax decoder.
Okay, so from Bachmann's defense, they do have some engines with better decoders, but I know on their value line stuff.
If you buy one that says sound value, that is a Soundtrax decoder that's in it, and it's. If you go on Soundtrax now, Soundtrax has just released the Econami decoder. The Econami is basically the same. It's basically the exact same thing as the sound value, just available now. Because you used to not be able to buy the sound value, but this has the sound value decoder in it, and it's a really good runner. But if I were going to pick a decoder for steam, because a decoder for steam is a lot different than a decoder for diesel. I mean, even with sound, like I would never put a Digitrax decoder in a steam locomotive. Because their motor controls are just not enough. They're not good enough for steam locomotives, and you'll get a jerky operation. And that's something I would definitely use a TCS or ESU, and especially with sound, because steam engines have to have a timed sound sequence. And if you're going to have that, you definitely want an ESU, TCS, or Soundtracks, because they, with the right equipment and the right install, and the right programming, you can have a TCS, Soundtracks, or ESU almost perfectly timed with a locomotive.
Yeah, me and the chuffs.
Yes, and I have my, and the Paragon 2 by Broadway Limited, these here, are actually perfectly timed, or as close as you could possibly get it to be. And they actually come with the Paragon 2 decoder, but the Paragon 2 decoder is using the sound files from QSI. But it is a Broadway Limited made decoder, which isn't on the market. So I mean, but they're just as good as far as the motor control and timing for the sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lee said thanks, so I think we got him the kind of answer he was looking for. But yeah, like you said, you're going to get what you pay for. You also kind of want to look at your decoders as to what you want to do, right? And
Yes.
pick one that will do that. It's kind of like buying a computer. You look at what you want to do first, and then you find what will do it.
Yes, and especially with most people will think that, you know, any 4-function decoder will give you the lighting functions that you want. And that's not exactly true, because if you go to TCS and ESU and Digitrax, just to take those those three, if you look at with their lights, what you can do with lighting, it's a 4-function decoder either way. If you're comparing a T4, 120, Digitrax 163 or 166 now, and a ESU Locopilot V4, they are going to have different lighting effects. Like your beacons are going to look different, and the Digitrax only has like 6, where the TCS has like 10 or 12 options, and the ESU has up to 15 or 16 options.
As you know, when they're Donnie from Lee,
Cool.
he says, "Okay, I have a Tsunami sound decoder and Athearn Genesis, and tried to program it, and when I notch it up, it notches up in 3s. It goes from 1, 3, 6, 9, and so on. Why?"
I can't exactly answer that question, I mean, being that I've never had that problem. I mean, I'm guessing there's a CV in there that you might have changed accidentally that will reset that. And the only answer I can say to fixing that is to look up the manual and see if you can find what CV that is and reset it to the default value, or just completely reset the decoder.
Yeah, start over again.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had that issue, but I understand what the problem is.
Yeah. Do you think JMRI could be a help on?
JMRI could probably fix it. I'm not perfectly familiar with JMRI, but I do know how it works. And if you, under the sound tab, there might be a section for it, and there might not be. I'm not sure. I've never put a Tsunami decoder on JMRI.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Bob, have you got your schematic back up again? Yo, Bob.
Yeah, it's a play around one that I got right at the moment, so let me switch it to the real one, which is still somewhat play around as well.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, dude.
Yeah. So this is basically sort of my house upstairs. This big old chunk down here, that's actually the bathrooms, but I didn't want to model in the shape of the bathroom because I would not put a train through there. But,
oh, why not? With GoPro?
Yeah, why not? Seriously?
Well,
That'd be the hottest YouTube video around.
yeah, it would have to go through the shower, or actually go above the shower, where you can't see anything, because it's got a lower ceiling in the shower, and it's a mess.
You can have adjustable cameras, you know.
It's not the camera; it's where I'm going to put the
Well,
track.
you'd have to build a waterproof case around the track too.
And honestly, anybody, do we really want to see Bob
No.
taking a shower? Come on now.
No.
But I think we'd rather see Bob showing his layout diagram.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just to answer the question that's up there, Decoder Pro is JMR is what JMR calls the program.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the man cave area. Some of this track is not there yet. There's basically only one track in blue going all the way around, and this red one is actually there. But yeah, it's pretty much a shelf layout. These boards here are not shaped correctly because I was playing around with something, but it does go around the room. It can stay inside that room by just staying on the blue line, or if it hits out on the red line, goes into the hallway, through the wall, over the top of the closet, kind of around the room over the top of the bed, and then across the popsicle bridge, which is right in here in the corner, and back around the room, of course, and back into the hallway. Now this area here is where I built my trestle section. And so this whole little section is just the trestle. And I just got done putting that in, and it works, which is great. After that, it goes along across this closet area, and they can either switch to go to phase 3 out through the wall, or stay in phase 2 and stay within the bedrooms. They'll go around the wall again, and there's another bridge right in here, but it's basically more of a platform, one solid piece of wood, and that is got a fake tree in this corner with a TV mounted in it, and so the train will be going through the branches of the tree. And this is basically in a jungle room kind of format, where we got trees and swords and animals and jungle kind of stuff. And so that's the fun room, I guess. And then comes back out, and this area next to the trestle will be more of a granite wall, kind of mountainside, that the train will be climbing up alongside of it before it goes out and back into the man cave. When the train wants to go into the living room, this is the main living room right here, just switch it, comes out, and right along this wall, goes across a bridge area over to this other wall shelf, and goes down, and hangs a right, and goes across this bridge that'll be here, and all around this fireplace room in the dining room area. They'll come back out and go back into the living room and across the big bay window in the front.
Hey Bob, is that going to be a because I see how you have the other track that comes through the fireplace room, and then the outside track goes back the direction it came. Right. Is that going to be an auto reverse right there?
No, this is all one track.
Oh, okay.
So when it first came into the room, it's against the wall. So basically it becomes the outside track, and as it comes around, it comes back in on the inside track. So
okay.
it stays over here. So then it comes back around It's actually on the outside track, because that outside track is going to hang a right and become the inside or the outside track in the fireplace room. Comes back up, goes right down the middle, and we'll go down the middle of those two other tracks and back out.
Okay, I see what you got going.
Yeah.
It goes through the fireplace room twice. Then is what you're saying.
Right. So that's going to be the longest section of track that I have. That's for sure. But it's a work in progress. I was contemplating a couple double reverses, so I can have a point-to-point kind of thing, and then throw in a helix or something. But that was that was the other plan, which I'll kind of show you what I'm coming up with at the moment. Okay.
Got a question here for you, Bob,
Sure.
from Lee.
Okay.
I'd like to know how you talked your wife into, because mine only gave me the loft, LOL. What's your secret?
Well,
don't tell her what's going on.
Well, you gotta have a good communication between your wife and sell the dream. You gotta sell the dream, otherwise it's not worth doing. She's going to be decorating pretty much some of the scenery in our bedroom, so that's kind of her area. So she wants to kind of make a fairy garden, fairyland kind of thing. She's into that kind of stuff. So the fairies will have their toy trains that they can ride on or something as it goes by. Whatever little fantasy she wants to make out of it, that's her area. I want to put some buildings and scenes on a couple walls that are in there, and she gets the other two walls, and she has her input. If she doesn't have input into what your project is, and help brainstorm, you're pretty much going to get shot down.
Yeah.
I think you also did a lot of crying and begging too, didn't you?
No crying. Maybe it's a little bit of begging.
No, he's talking about Big Bill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
But it was more of, I've always had this dream of trying to do something like this. And she's known about this dream for a long time and just didn't have the space or my own house to put it in. It's like, well, if living in military housing or something, I just can't do that. Destroy the walls, I got to repair everything. I was like, yeah, I might move. So it didn't make sense to put it all up and have to tear it right back down. And so I was pretty much out of the hobby. So when I bought my house, I was like, hey, I guess I'm not going to move. I'm going to stay here for a while. So I'll unpack my trains. And, I was looking, well, HO would take up a lot more space inside here, and it just wouldn't have fit correctly. And I was like, well, saw the N scale thing for sale. Someone was getting rid of their layout, and I was like, well, sure, I'll get that. I says, well, I could just put it in my room. And she goes, why don't you just run it through the wall into our bedroom? And I was like, okay.
Seriously? I love you.
And I was like, welcome to my trap,
Also, Lee said, all right, I'm going to sell it. Wish me luck.
Yeah, you just sit there and you just walk in and start looking around, and it's like, it'd be awesome to have a train just running around the room. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, at least something else that might help is if you could reference some of Bob's videos.
Yeah.
Look how neat this looks. This guy's wife is so cool. She lets him do this all through this house, and make her feel like, oh, well, maybe she needs to be as cool as Bob's wife is.
Yeah. And there's other there's probably some better examples of layouts on the shelf or on the ceiling out there on YouTube. I know of quite a few of them that they did a real good professional job on it, but they probably had a crew of people doing it too.
Yeah.
But it's only your imagination. It says, well, it's not in the way. It's up here above your head. You can't bang your head on it. You can't bang your knees on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Dave, I'm going to interrupt you for a second here, Bob, because you're fixing to show your other plan here. I know that's going to involve your helix, and like I said earlier, this is school night for Donnie. So,
okay.
Anybody else got any other questions for Donnie? Or Donnie, you got any more comments about decoders?
Well, I can answer a question that I'm asked a lot. I mean, what's my personal favorite or preference? I use a variety of decoders on my own layout. And a lot of people ask me, what system do I use? Well, I use Digitrax as my system, but I do not use their decoders just because I like stuff that has more options and to have more. I use Digitrax as my system, but I just like to have decoders that have more options. So I mean, I like to use TCS when I can. For sound, I really like ESU. I also really like Tsunami as well. But as far as mobile decoders, I use TCS, and I use the Soundtrax mobile decoders as well. They are really nice for their price. They MSRP at $21. And Johnny, that's the decoder I put. That's the decoder I recommended to you to put in that locomotive as your profile. The locomotive in your profile picture.
Yeah.
And I really like that decoder. I use it a lot because of its price mainly. But other than that, for the most part, as far as sound decoders go, I like all of the bigger name brand ones as far as ESU, TCS, Soundtrax, and QSI.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because you recommended to me, it's working out really well. I mean, I don't have. Well, I got a forward and reverse light in there, or do I? It's been so long since I ran that engine. It's RS3, but for what it does is.
You're able to. That's a 4-function decoder for $21, which is an awesome deal.
Yeah.
Because the Digitrax decoder that usually runs $20 to $17 to $20, that decoder is only a 2-function decoder, where $2 more gets you 4 functions, where a Digitrax 4-function decoder doesn't even exist. You have to get a 6-function, and a 6-function costs $30. So.
Yeah. Well, that one's working fine for me. I just got to go in and tweak a few CVs, like we talked about earlier, because it is a little jerky on its speed steps. But like you were telling me to check my voltages on that, smooth it out.
The best way to do that is adjust CV2, 3, and 4. CV2 is your start and stop voltage. CV3 is your gaining speed, your acceleration rate. So the higher you set 3, the slower it's going to pick up speed, and then 4 is your deceleration rate, which is the slower it'll stop.
Yeah. Or better known as momentum.
Yeah.
Question Donnie might be able to help us there. Is there anyone that makes N-scale locomotives with sound fitted? They're reasonable quality.
Can you repeat that one more time? I don't think Donnie heard that one, Andrew.
Is there anyone that makes the locomotives in N-scale which have the sound fitted, which are of a reasonable quality?
Bachmann makes their stuff with the Tsunami sound decoders already installed.
Mm-hmm. Intermountain's putting ESU decoders in theirs.
Intermountain uses ESU for everything, so I guess they would be putting ESU in there. So I mean, that would be the best. I mean, Intermountain makes some really nicely detailed stuff, and for a good price, and would also have ESU sound, so it's going to be a great sound file as well. I think Athearn when they bring back their N-scale stuff, they will be using Tsunami as well. And I'm not too familiar with N-scale stuff, but I know Broadway Limited and MTH all come with sound as well. Actually, all Broadway Limiteds come with sound, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I know that's for sure in HO, but I'm not sure about N-scale.
How you doing, Chris? I saw you just made it in.
Hey, I'm good. Sorry I'm late. I was going to try and get in here for the beginning and didn't make it again tonight. So
That's okay. We'll let you sing a song for us in a little bit.
I owe Jim a presentation.
Actually, that one worked out pretty good. We had one kind of hiccup in there, but we got worked out, and it's been recorded so people can see how to work it out. It's just a issue about how the cables were plugged in.
Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, we were able to keep Jim from taking a sledgehammer to it. But I say we, it wasn't me, because I know nothing about that yet. But yeah. All right. Well, Bob, I'll tell you what, I'll let you talk a little bit about your future plan on the Helix real quick. Then I want to jump back to Jim and get his presentation on his layout.
Okay. Well, this is just one section of the man cave design. Because the 3D rendering and SCARM won't take that whole big plan and render it. It's just too big for it to handle. So I just took one small piece and played with that. But this is the man cave. This little green dot right here in the middle kind of represents probably where my head will be sitting at the computer, give or take. But my computer would be underneath this whole big turntable section and reverse loop. The Helix would be on this corner, and that's going to be about a 35-inch rise, which is 14 turns on a 22-inch radius Helix. And when I come up the Helix, it's going to come out here in a clockwise motion. I can go straight across and connect right up to the main line, or I can switch and go the other direction and do a reverse loop and go the other direction on the main line. And just the opposite, when it comes back down to the yard, it'll come back in from whatever direction it is, hit the Helix, come down, loop around, and I can put some staged train parts in there or whatever. Still working on the whole design. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but it's a work in progress. It's a plan. I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition, but it's one of those what ifs. If I had the space and the ability to do it, who knows?
Yeah, well,
but
thank goodness for CAD to let us try these things out.
Yeah. And so you can see how much higher this will be. This turntable area and roundhouse will be above my computer, so that would be about starting around 52 inches off the floor, and then from there go on up. So at least I can stand up and see some stuff, work on it, change things out, and run them up the Helix and let them go.
Yeah.
And eventually maybe getting a, put in these other track, put another staging yard up here on the top, for a little bit longer trains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to do what my vision was at some point to have some sort of a major catastrophe going on in my house.
Well, I already got one going on in New York, so that's big
Yeah.
bills. Real quickly, get on the panel. We've got one space open. If you go to YouTube Mall Builders communities page, you'll see my posts there for the Thursday night hangouts. If you look down in the comments, you'll see the Q&A link. Then you'll see YouTube link, and then the panel link will be the third link in the comments. And you click on that, and they'll bring you into the panel.
And just to let you know, Lee, 10 is only allowed in each panel.
Yeah. Actually, 9 because you got the moderator on Tuesday and Thursday night, so we're kind of limited to 9. I get a reserved seat, and so does the Tuesday night moderator.
Well, any more questions on this thing? Anybody out there with any questions?
Nope, not right now.
No.
Nothing but jealousy, Bob. Nothing but jealousy.
Sorry.
I think that's an awesome layout. I think you got an awesome wife that's allowing you to go through each individual room like that. That's just, I can't wait to see a nice full video of everything once you've got all this helix and stuff going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the helix is, just a pipe dream at the moment, but we'll see. Because it will take up 4 foot of space in this corner of this room just for the helix. And then probably, some more room here and there. I got to figure out how to even mount it. We have to move tables around and everything else.
But this is your office, right? Not your wife's office. So pretty much the only person you got to clear it with is yourself, right?
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Well, then the battle's won, isn't it?
Kind of. It's getting it up the stairs, trying to manipulate it around. Yeah, it's a big project to put it in. No doubt. So it might end up being in the future layout downstairs, a more normal size layout. But we don't know yet. Still got people get kicked out. Well, there's stuff to get kicked out.
Jim, you want to do yours?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I got to follow Bob, so it's really hard to.
Yeah, I got to hear this.
Most of you guys have seen my layout. Let me screen here.
Come on.
Give me a second, fella.
Hurry it up.
All right, there's my layout currently. A couple pieces of track missing here because I've been playing with it, but basically, there it is. That's my layout now. I don't have this little green mountain through it. My problem was I had 10'7" across the back wall. I'm 8 foot down each side wall, and then of course my 10'7" across the front in my room here. That's what I was allowed to work with. So like everybody else, trying to cram as much track and industry as I could in there, and I'm limited with counting the engine house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 6 if I can kit bash something on this curve. My current changes was just adding a Y turnaround here. And this is coming into the room, past the layout into the room. This is my desk over here. So that I can have a programming track come right over here by the desk so I can be lazy and just sit here and program engines and set them out onto the main. What I would like to do is have a second layer come off right here by the bridge and start going uphill around the room and come up above this track, say maybe 10, 12 inches, and have it come down and around across the front of the desk and half of the shelving unit over here. Then I seen Tariq's layout. And this was done by the track planner. Now he's got less width here. He's only 108 inches where I got 127. And he's only 63 inches across this wall where I've got 96 inches. And counting his engine house, he's got 8 different places to be able to play with. So I'm really impressed with what the track planner did with Tyreek's plan here in such a small space, and got to thinking, I wonder what he could do for mine. So I'm in the process right now of writing something up to send to the track planner with what I currently have, and I'm going to point towards Tyreek's layout and say, I really love what you did on just these 2 little sides here. He's able to incorporate a lot more than I could. So that's my next step, is I'm going to spend the money, I guess, and go have a talk with the track planner. So nothing prototypical. This is all just what I want and what I'm able to do in the space that I'm in. So
Jim, I got one question for you.
Shoot.
And this is a question I ask myself all the time. And it has changed over the years of me being in model railroading. Is when you look at your layout, do you look at it as in you come in and you're going to run trains back and forth and switch some cars, or do you look at to come into your room and sit down and turn a train on and watch it, take pictures, videos of it going around your layout, or vice versa?
Both. Oops, you don't want to see that.
Well, the reason why I say that is because I like Treek's idea. There's a lot of guys that have gone that direction because of their space on doing their model railroading. They're still going to get their fix. They still can do their switching that they want. The only issue is you just can't come in and fire up a train and run it around the layout and sit there and work on a, and see, that's what I like. I like a little bit of both. I like what you said, both. I like to come into my train room and fire up a train and let it run around, and I go over to a section of my layout and I do a little bit of work. I work on scenery or whatever, and when the train comes by, I stop for a little bit and watch the train going around. And you see what I'm getting at?
Right, and that's why Tyreek's plan intrigued me as much as it did, is because this red is the main line going through the middle here.
Yes.
So now he's just got a back wall and a side wall, where I've got the front and back wall and the 2 side walls to complete a complete donut, I guess you want to call it, or square. So I can have the best of both worlds. He's not going to obviously won't copy Tyreek's layout, but I wanted to point to him towards that so he knew what I was looking at. That on 2 walls, he's got 2 more industries than I've got on 4 walls.
Yes.
So that's what intrigued me, is the way he incorporated everything in such a small space, and he actually got more workability of playing with the trains. So I want to have the main line going around in a complete circle, the roundy round, so that I can have that running, and while I'm working on a section of another part of the layout, or even just sitting at my desk over here in this little turquoise square, that's my desk. Just sit at my desk and spinning my chair around and watching it going around in circles.
Okay.
So, I wanted to do, as you know, I wanted to do an 18-inch helix, because that's all I had room to place it right here and still get this door open. But I do have health issues, and if at one time or another I need to have EMT come in here to help me, that helix would be in the way. They wouldn't be able to get me through. I need a straight shot through my door to go down my hallway to my front door. So that kind of killed the helix. That's when I started thinking about the around the room, which I want to start the climb right here on this side of the bridge, take it around this outside track all the way around, and at about a 3.5% grade, which is a little steep, I can get 10 to 12 inches right in this point in here. So if I do that, then I can continue that down around. I've got room above my desk, and this is actually 2 shelving units. The first one here is a 4-shelf, and it's made out of polymer plastics with round tubes as the lifts between each shelf, so I can actually take the top shelf out and be able to continue to track all the way over to almost half of this. I put a roundhouse or whatever I want, which I do. I would like to have a roundhouse with the turntable. So, so that's my future plans, and that's what I want to talk to the track planner. Get some more usability out of this space, and I like very much.
I do too. That's a really good plan. I like that, Jimmy. Whoever come up with that one, he's a slick one.
Yep. So yeah, and I like it. I like Tariq's plan quite well. He's got lots of stuff to do, and he's got a main line going through it. So if he could incorporate not exactly Tariq's plan, but that much in that little bit of a space, and I've got twice that space available, I see myself having lots of room for industry, for playing, and lots of room to do some scenery, which I don't have available to me currently in that plan. I mean, I just don't have room for scenery. I've got a little bit of scenery on this tunnel area, and this tunnel was taken out, so it's just this back corner outside the track, and that's the only place I really got for scenery.
Well, you know what you could do is put inside your layout, because you're going to have a complete main line run around the whole layout, and you could do something like what Tariq did there in a 4x8 section in the corner, and then over on the opposite side corner you can put scenery. Maybe you can put some tunnels or a river scene or whatever.
Right. Well, that's, you know, and I know this doesn't look like much, but I've probably got 80 to 100 hours into this, designing what I've got now to make it all fit with the buildings that I've already purchased, and I really think now, and I was a naysayer about paying this guy to do me a track plan.
Yep.
But when you look at what he's done for that little bit of space, and what he could do when I've got twice as much space, plus a little extra going off of this plan, I think it's going to be money well worth spent. Now I'm convinced of it. But you know, I was a hard sell. I started this back almost a year ago, and yeah, I'm convinced now that I wasted 100 hours trying to do what little bit I did. I mean, it's not bad, and it's got some playability, but I see where I can have even more playability and more scenery. So I think it's worth it to me. But
well, you know, the nice thing is you're not too far along on your, you know, it'd be a different story if you had all those buildings in place and you had a lot more hours into it.
Right. Yeah, I've got all the tracks down, and the tunnel was built for the left-hand corner there. But I've held off on doing anything else because I just didn't like the way it turned out. I mean, the more I got involved in it and talking to you guys and seeing your guys' layouts, and especially yours, dude, and Troy's and Bob's, and even Al Jr.'s got one heck of a layout going there. It just got that wow, mine just isn't that good now. You know, I mean, it's not that it's not decent for what area I've got. It's not bad, but now I can see where it could really be improved on. I don't have the skills, I don't think, to do as well as the track planner, so I think I'm just going to have to buckle down and give the guy a call.
Well, you know, he's going to do all of my. I've been flip-flapping emails back and forth with Bill too about doing the extension on my layout into the room that I'm sitting in right here, and so I haven't got anything. I haven't got the first rough draft, but I gave him kind of the idea of what I wanted to do in this room. Now he's got that, and then between both of our heads, we're going to come out with something. You know?
Right. And that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm using this photo, and I might even do a screenshot of this one just to give them an idea of what my to take it. And I think with his mind and his knowledge of how trains run prototypically, because I really don't have any knowledge in that. And yes, I did buy one of those books about how to lay tracks down prototypically. Not that I really want the prototypical, because this is all fantasy land to me anyways. But it would be nice to have it where when someone else looks online and sees it and say, hey, now that really works. That's maybe not in real life, but it is a prototypical way of doing something like that. Because I can show you some designs and stuff that I did.
Well, yeah, it's a working layout, not so much a prototypical, but it's a good working layout.
Right.
It has a good flow to it.
I thought I had a file on here that has all my photos from the stuff that I had done before, but I don't. Oh, there it is, layout pics. I guess that would be a good one to start. Yeah, mine evolved. There was my first try, and it was an obvious fail. I wasn't getting stuff where I wanted it to go, and of course I was trying to do a double crossover to give it a little more interest in running around the circles, but then I started trying to look at this. I was trying to figure out a way to make these work, and I just don't have the brain for doing something that was fairly prototypical. That there is just absolutely wild. And then I really started going wild. This was supposed to be my what do you call it? My yard. And I was trying to figure out a way where I could bring a train one way and park cars, and then bring a train in from the opposite way and park cars. And it was just a mess. And then this is about the time that I found the YouTube Model Builders Hangout, and started talking to you guys, and then I started trying to progress a little bit better. And this is one that the track planner helped me with a little bit, which is close to what I have now, but I still didn't like the way things were coming about here. I wasn't getting enough industry over here that I wanted, and so I modified it a little bit or whatever, and got to where there's where I modified a little bit more. Then I got into the plan that I've got now, and I like this for the area that I've got. I like this layout fairly well. I did take this crossover out here and make another yard line on it, but yeah, I've got all the cork down, all the tracks down. That's the room there. So all I've got to do is just rip up track and cork in my mountains in the corners and lift out, so it's not. I'm going to lose the time invested in those, which is quite a bit of time, but it's evolved. It's evolved quite a bit, and I'm having fun with it. So, but.
There's no such thing as losing time. Even if you tear that out, it was a great learning lesson for doing your next ones. You probably learned things to do and not to do.
Oh, absolutely! You're 100% correct on that. I've learned a lot. And
honestly, if we put all of our years, everybody that's on the panel, put all of our years together and added them up to how many years we got into model railroading and how many times we had mistakes, it would probably blow your mind.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm glad I didn't take advice of, and that's everybody talking about gluing the tracks down once you were determined where you want to go. None of my tracks glued down. I did glue the cork down so that didn't move, but then the track is just kind of sitting on the cork, and I took a track nail on each side of the turnout, not on the turnout itself, on the track leading to the turnout. And I laid a nail in through the tie so that I didn't have to glue anything down until I was ready to ballast. And then I knew the ballast and the white glue 50-50 mix in the ballast would glue the track down into place once I did my ballasting. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't glue anything down. So all this track's going to come up super easy. The stuff that I nailed down, where there is a nail, I can just clip each side of the tie with the track up and then grab the nail with the pliers and get it out of there. And the reason why I had to go that route is I didn't use foam. I used nails right into some hard plywood, so they are in there real good. You got to really pry them out. But now, when I go to redo this, I am definitely going to go with at least 1-inch foam on top of my plywood to help facilitate and laying track. And I want to put in some mainline ditches and stuff like that I wasn't able to do with this. So I'm definitely going to go with at least 1-inch foam underneath all my track work on the next. But yeah, when someone says, yeah, you'll redo it, and you go, no, this is it. I'm never doing this again. This is it. Yeah, right. No, even my dad told me, bless his heart. I said, well, Dad, I'm trying to get this done so you can see it. He goes, Jim, he goes, you won't be done. He says, I guarantee you're going to change that 4 or 5 times. No, Dad, no. I think I've got it down. This track plan I love. Well, all right. So I'm changing.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the nail down part though, and the glue down part about wanting to change your stuff. I said I've had my track plan layout, which was the trunk line layout from Atlas, done. I went down there the other day and I realized I still had a piece I haven't even nailed down yet. I forgot I haven't even nailed it yet.
Yeah, when I did my curves, because I'm new to this and was afraid of trying to do flex track curves, I bought Bachman or Atlas custom line. What does they call it? Snap track. I don't know what they call this, but I bought the radius curves in the sectional track, and then did the straightaways and some of these off the wall curves I did do in flex track. But I nailed down this end of the curve and then down at this end of the curve 1 nail. You can see the tracks floating just a little bit right there. But yeah, so all I got to do is clip a few ties. All my track's going to come up. I am going to have to scrape all this down. All the cork was laid with the 100% straight Elmer's white glue, and that holds that stuff down good. I'll tell you, it's even tacky after you first lay it down there. It helps. I had to use soup cans around the curves a little bit to help making sure that they didn't move. I tried thumb pins, and I had some real sore thumbs trying to put those pins into that plywood. But definitely going with styrofoam once I get all this stuff up again. But
I've kind of got a mix of styrofoam and plywood and pine wood and MDF. You know, it's kind of a hodgepodge I got right now. But I was trying different types of materials to see what was going to work out best in my man cave, which is pretty much the test bed. So now I've got foam as some of my shelving, a 2-inch foam, and that kind of takes care of buying a lot of expensive wood and stuff like that. So I'm trying to use as much of the foam as I can and just kind of brace it up on my shelf, you know, with a brace here and there, and it won't move.
And another tip I want to put out there, and I mentioned this in the Saturday show, if you've got Atlas Flex Track, do not paint it first unless it's a straightaway. Because I painted all this, and guys were asking, Jim, why are you painting that Flex Track first? Because I can get it out of the way. I can hurry up and get it all painted. Nice and easy to paint it before I put it in. Then when I tried to put any kind of a curve or anything on any of this Flex Track, like right in here and stuff, my gosh, the side of the rail that moves is supposed to slide through these little C clips or whatever it is they got on this rail. The side that's sliding.
Drifting.
Yeah, the side that's supposed to move was glued down with the paint. And these guys that was in the hangouts watching me do it, I had to stand there and flex that stuff by hand back and forth until I could get the Flex Track to go the way I wanted it to go. So definitely do not paint the track first, or at least don't spray bomb it like I did. because I had enough paint on there. All those tires are glued right to that rail, and once I got it broke loose and got the turn the way I wanted it, then I had nice little silver squares along the track where the ties had moved, or the rail had moved, and so now I still had to go back over and paint them. So they look good. I mean, you can see they're painted. They look good, but wait and paint them after you're done. At least with the Atlas Flex Track, that's what I come up with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm done, Johnny.
Okay. Chris, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Now the beginning question was, no, me. Let me see if I can recall that. What prompted you on how you did your layout, whether it's prototypical or freelance? You know, meaning, the size and all like that.
Hey, John, can you
Yeah.
screen share me?
I am. I'm getting there.
Okay.
I know you got a fair size area there, and you are doing a particular section prototype. Any reason for what prompted you to do that?
It just kind of grew that way. I guess would be the easiest way. The layout I have now that's connected to it, what I call the old layout that's going to get tore down this year, was just a freelance, non-prototypical. It had, I was running it as what do you call a freelance prototype. It was prototypically based for operations as far as city names and things like that, but none of the track work or the buildings or anything you wouldn't look at it and say, oh, I know where that is. It was just strictly made up. It was my second layout. Probably about started at when was about where Jim is right now, I would say. I had learned what I wanted from the first one and tore that down and started building another one, and it just kind of grew, and then it got to the point where I was trying to figure out how to expand it again, and I decided to just ditch the whole thing and create a new one from scratch. Just by luck or by golly, I ended up seeing a Montana Rail Link hopper in town here, one that I'd never seen before. Like, the paint job caught my interest, and I looked it up and I started investigating the Montana Rail Link, and I just fell in love with it, all the scenery, mountains, and everything. And just kind of went from there, and I ended up building an extremely prototypical and trying to make everything as accurate as possible. And as far as design goes, it's super simple. The prototype already did it for you. All you have to do is copy it, select which pieces you want, and then copy it. So you don't really have to design it other than tweak it to make it fit your space.
Yeah, because you're doing a section that does long drags too, right? Because I know you say you want to pull long trains.
Right. I just found out over the years that I really enjoy consisting and pulling long trains rather than short trains and industrial switching. So it's mostly going to be just scenery. The one room there won't be a building in it. I'll probably have a total of about 4 buildings on the whole layout when I'm done. Although one of them is going to be a 3-foot long depot. It's going to be one hell of a building to scratch build, but I'm not going to have a ton of buildings or industries. It's mostly going to be all about making up and breaking down the long trains and running a helper service to get it up over the mountain.
Yeah.
But as far as hours spent planning, hours is the wrong word. I would say years is more like it. I would literally come up with a design, then you just start staring at it, set it down, come back a week later, stare at it, picture running trains on it and what you wanted to do. It's, Imagineering, if you will, and it just kept changing and changing and changing to a point I was absolutely happy with it, and the time was right to start destroying my workshop to turn it into a train room. And after 4 years of that, I finally started, and And you guys have seen where I've gone in the last year or two now. So
Yeah, really nice.
that, long story short, that's how I got where I am right now.
Yeah.
Same place a lot. I've been same place a lot of you guys are right now. So eventually, plan ahead because eventually you won't be happy with what you have. Don't overcommit because you will want to change even after a year or two. I guarantee you're going to want to change things.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about it.
Mike, are you still there? Hello, Mike.
Yep.
I know you got a layout there at your house, 4x8 sheets. You give us a little insight on what prompted you on how you laid it out?
Let's see. Hang on 1 second now.
Right.
Yeah, but what prompted me to, why I'm trying to get it before I share it. What prompted me to do my 4x8 in the L shape way was so that I could have some extension and possibly a yard, but with the configurations of my basement, I really can't hit the yard the way I want to because it's not my own property of my own house, I should say. So if it was my own property, I'd probably set the train set up a little different.
Yeah.
But
well, that was part of the question tonight. Why did you come up with what you did?
I came up with it that way. Oh, the way that I have it now is so that I could keep it transportable, or the ability to break it down and switch it around, as everybody was talking about switching it around and moving it around. But in the event that I might be able to move it to another location, I kept it portability possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you've shown some pictures in the past, your layout, and it was, like you said, the room you have and all. Looks like you've done a pretty decent job with it.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's...
You can run a full circle, right?
Oh, yes, I have... Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah,
not... Okay. Yeah, I have... Oh, it's basically... Like I say, it's the plan of the Atlas. It's not really my own plan out of my own mind. I've always gone with the Atlas layout plans because I just like the way that they're made, and then I didn't have to put a real bunch of thought into it, but I did have to think about the electricity aspect of it, though.
Yes.
Because I was very much interested in not going too much over on an electricity bill and stuff, but then when I found out it only takes about 5 amps worth of electricity to run one, I was very shocked at that. I didn't realize it was that low. I thought it'd be a lot higher.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, I want to answer Lee's question here real quick for his questions talking about proto. Who on this panel is a rivet counter? I don't think we've really got rivet counters here on the panel here, but
well, that would be Andy.
I was fixing to say Andy is doing a real good job on trying to get everything really looking good. I don't think he's going to allow anybody to do any rivet counting, but he's really going the mileage on building this track work to look very prototypical, using tie plates, the fasteners, and everything that you see on rails. And he puts his cuts in the lines for his time period. I think is every 18, 19 feet. Looks like the rail has a break, and he has the connector plates right there.
Are you there, Andy?
I think he might have stepped away for a second because if he was there, he'd been on top of that in a heartbeat.
One just little insight one little insight into that is it's kind of hard to have your cake and eat it too. If you really want to get to that level of detail, and there's nothing wrong with that, you're not going to have that big a layout. You can't take a layout like mine and put tons of detail, and that's where I get jealous sometimes. I'd like to really have some nicely detailed and weathered cars, but when you got cars by the hundreds and locomotives by the 20s and 30s, you can't invest the time. There's not enough time in a day to do that for your rolling stock and put that really nice detail in your track. So you got to compromise. You got to go for quality or quantity, but it's hard to do both.
Yeah, Lee also posted that he's glad he got laughs out of that. He likes to hand lay himself. And I'm screen sharing Mike's screen right now. This is his layout here.
Oh, yeah.
2 4x8s.
That looks very familiar as far as where I started. That part of my layout right now would be the equivalent of that, pink section on there. But the nice part about working at foam is I'd run it for a while and you'd change the track and run it for a while and change the track, and it took a while, but it finally get happy with the plan, and then I finally put some scenery on it.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Took 5 years though, because I just run it for a while and you weren't happy with it and you'd tweak it, and it was really nice and easy to change on the foam.
Yeah, you're running DC, right, Mike?
Yes, I'm still a DC. I'm gonna be becoming that second half now with the right now I'm running DC because I don't have any DCC power cabs or any of that yet. But since the last time that Jim and a few of us other guys talked, Mark and we talked about the DCC stuff and how to get the one portable type one, and I'm like, that's how to do it. So I'm going to get one of those, and I'll be starting off with the other side maybe being the DCC with the board that's not pink. The second half of the L. I might keep that one all DCC.
Make sure you isolate that totally away from your DC.
Oh, yeah. Definitely gonna do that. But the reason for having this one this way was, like I said, because it was the table's all portable. It's all screwed down. It's not totally fixed in. It's not, and that's not really my property here to be able to keep it a steady table. So. Most of these tracks here are just the sectional snap tracks. They're not, none of it's flexible yet either. I'm one that still hasn't really messed with cutting the flex track up. So, as I say, I got into just doing the track plans, and I figured I'd have my buildings pretty well worked out, but as you can see, they're kind of out of place.
Yeah.
And I have more fire stations than I do anything else sitting there too. But I do
Work
like
in progress.
Yeah, but I do like those long running types of trains there, as that particular one there I believe has about 18 to 20 cars on it. Yeah, and then that section that I mentioned that was not nailed down was this section right here where the orange car is with the blue cars next to this blue engine, next to the Conrail. That section here wasn't even nailed down, and it actually still has an electricity part to it. So I was like wondering why the train wasn't working right sometimes, and I had to remember to push that track back in on the end because I forgot haven't nailed that down yet.
Yeah.
That Centennial caboose looks familiar.
Yeah. Well, but I have one beside yours, so that's two. I have two of those now. I forgot I even had it.
Mike, do you have feeders and any of that, or is that all running from one connection?
No, I have feeders on this section right here because I was talking to a guy from Atlas. From the Atlas company, where I had the terminal track like this, where I had the terminal track, but they were trying to shy me away from the terminal track because of the feeder wires. So I had one of those little block strips there, the one with the 8 to 10, 12 screw thing there, those type of terminal strips. And he mentioned to me a way of putting these feeders to the terminal strip and then back up into your power pack without going, like, bypassing this one section right here into a power strip and then putting that back up into the power pack area. So that particular one, I actually got the track now that has the terminals on it that I wanted, so I might switch that out, and then when I do that DCC bit, that's when I'm going to start really using the feeders instead.
So for your whole layout, zoom back out again. So on your double line main line there, you've got just two sets of feeders. One on the outside, one on the inside?
Yes.
And that runs pretty good for you? You don't have any connection problems?
No connection problems.
That's awesome. And the other L, have you done the same thing, basically about one set of feeders to it, or?
Well, I've actually, wait a minute. No, I got a terminal track over here too, and basically that one there is only run, that oval, that's only a strict oval, and it's running off of one terminal track, believe it or not. Just hooked up to the terminal box 8 for the selector. Off of the big power pack. That's running everything.
Well, how long have you had this, the pink stuff? How long have you had that up and running?
The pink one?
Yeah.
This one's only about 6 months old because I used to have one before that, and that got all brittled up by the cellar being damp and all that. So I had to take it up, which was not the trunk line, but it was the crossover, the double crossover one, where you had the two tracks, where you had one on this side, curving in off of this side, curving in off the other side, like I would say it's layout number 6 from Atlas.
Right. Well, I'm just curious how long you've had running with just two sets of feeders basically going to it. You know, I hear all the stories about these guys saying, "Oh, your train's gonna quit working" and all that, and you've got quite a bit of running there off of just two sets of feeders.
You know, that's all we used to do back in the day, though.
That's all it used to be.
Oh yeah, that's all we ever did was, and I set up, decent size, not just 4x8, but decent size 8x16 or something layout, and I'd use rail jointers. So Atlas sold a pack of rail jointers for $1.50 that had wires already fed to them, and you'd just stick those rail jointers on, and that's all we ever did. We didn't solder rail joints that much; wasn't common. That's it, and it worked just fine. One thing you might ever have to do is go back and squeeze the rail jointers with a pair of pliers to make sure you got good connectivity. But one of the things that didn't happen back then is back then you had a locomotive on the track, and that one set of feeders fed that locomotive. Now you have two things working against you. You could have 8 or 10 locomotives that are pulling power, that have sound and decoders and all this other stuff running that pulls a lot more power, and one set of feeders with all that current running through the rails, it gets weak over a distance. That didn't matter on DC, and it didn't matter when all you had was a single locomotive pulling that power. Another consideration was it was straight DC, and DCC has some inherent characteristics where it doesn't take very good to current drops and draws. So it used to be where you just put a set of single feeders on the tracks, and in my recent article in the EMAG, I said that's all you need for DCC. If he converted his layout to DCC, what he has, fine, work just fine, no problem. However, as your layout grows, having multiple feeders is a good idea, and a lot of people with very large layouts will put a set of drops every 5 or 6 pieces of flex track. Now, just to make sure I'm covered, I put a drop every rail, but that's totally not necessary. In fact, it's exotically overkill. I just want to make sure I have no problem, and putting feeders in is easy. So it's an easy way to make sure you're safe. But it is totally unnecessary. We way overdo the electronics.
Yeah. That's the other thing I was really thinking about here was the section blocks that I would need because I don't know, is my other picture going to show right up or is it going to show me something else? Okay. See if I can get to the one I want now, which was a power pack one. Come on. I don't know if oh man, I don't think this one has the angle I want, but on the other side there, I got those two on the other side of the power pack there. I do have the selector things. As you can see, that this right here is the you know, the switch, the turnout things, the turnout buttons. But underneath the hat there is the selectors, the 1 through 8 block selectors, and I'm just wondering how many of those type of things or whatever else I'm going to need to help do the DCC by blocking it off. Like how many blocks of things will I need if I wanted to block this off some?
Well, those switches you're using there to control your turnouts, right?
Yes.
Yeah, those are your turnouts there. But yeah, your feeders and turnouts are different.
Well, because the selectors are the ones that are going to the going to here. Oh, go back up here. The selector boxes are going to these, the terminal tracks.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's set to turn sidings off, so he can park a locomotive and turn it off.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if you were converting to DCC, all you would do is take all of your terminal strips and hook them together and hook them to the DCC system. That's it.
Really?
That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Well,
And on
I
the
tell you what, we've we're already hitting 2 hours here,
Cool.
and I really want to get Andrew in here too to show his because he's got an interesting concept. So I'm gonna let Andrew have the overtime.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I got
that, Mike. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, hang on. I want to present you to everybody. All right, you got it now.
Well, my layout it could be able to be packed away when I'm not using it because I live in a van park. I'll decide to go modular, and it'll all slide into a like a big toolbox. First module which you see there, which is basically just a folded dog bone under an over dog bone. That'll be the top module. The other modules will just plug on the end here. Now I've got several different ideas for modules. This one here is just so I can watch trains running around in circles, more or less, rail fan, with a little bit of operation. But the other modules, which I'll put up now, if I haven't fucked this up. Now, yeah. See that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's coming off the folded dog bone there. There's the joint in the modules there. It goes to an industrial area here, comes round, past the town, round to another industrial area here. That's one module idea. I can't really get this. Why is it doesn't work when you want it to?
Phil, did you start a hangout after show? Well, Andy's looking for that.
Yeah, I did. I'll go over there.
Oh, because
I can
yeah,
see that. Well, that's another module idea I've got. I can only have 2 modules. I'm definitely going to have the folded dog bone. So which of the other 2 modules I use, I haven't made quite up my mind yet. That gives me this module here gives me a fair bit of switching. By the way, they're all 3 foot by 8 foot modules. And when I'm finished, I'm going to work where you want to find the right picture. That's basically how it's going to be. See that? that'll be the top workbench, and I'll have 2 drawers or shelves that I can slide my modules into when they're not being used, and it'll be fully enclosed because it's going to be outside all the time. So this when the weather's foul, I can put them inside the workbench and totally settle it off from the weather. And it's all N scale. I'm also going to put wheels, lockable wheels on the bottom so I can roll it around from place to place if I need to. And I think that gives you a fair idea what I've got to.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea there, given what you've got too.
Yeah. So,
Being in
I live in the American land. And the other thing is I've got to be able to wheel it into the safe area when we have cyclones coming through. That's why I'm putting wheels on it. So I just run up the road and throw it in the office up to the caravan park.
Yeah.
And this also allows me to have a workbench up top. And I think that's about it.
All right. Well, appreciate that, Andrew. I mean, you got a unique design there, and it's a very workable design too.
I got to admit, it's about my 10th go.
Well, like you've heard from everybody else, nobody's gotten it perfect or right the first time. So, yeah. Lee, I don't know if you found. Obviously, you didn't find the link, but if you go back to the YouTube Model Builders community page there, you should see a link either from Stu Line or MC2 for an after show if you want to come join us on that. That's just a regular hangout we usually have right after the show, so you're welcome to join in on that if you like. And let's see if I can get mine to work right. I think.
We're going to tools hang out, are we?
Yeah.
I'll make you there.
All right. We've certainly had a good show tonight. We've got almost another 2 full hours here of talking. Everybody sharing their thoughts about layouts and what they've done and why. So I want to say keep checking in on the YouTubeModelBuilders.com website for all the latest news and info on presentations. Tuesday night presentations. Each Tuesday has a topic which they discuss, and so far have been some really good topics there. Those are done by Dude, Troy, Gino, and Barry and his buddy Mike. Barry and Mike do an IT show on various DCC decoders, animation, a little bit of animations, various ways of powering your turnouts, either using a tortoise or servos. So those are really interesting shows. They do a great job on those. The e-magazine comes out every 2 months. That's done by JD and his crew. They do a fantastic job on that e-magazine. They're constantly looking for people to do articles. If you don't think you can write, that's okay. Put something on paper, send it to them. They're going to help you polish it up. They don't mind, and you'll come up with a good article. They just need some good thoughts, ideas. Got the live show this once a month. That's the 3rd Saturday. We just had one last weekend where we announced the winners to the Big Bill contest. But that's hosted by Big Bill, and Barry again is the IT. He runs the show part of it for Bill, and Bill does the hosting. He said both of them have had some great guests on there and some really good shows. So with that said, you can go to the website and sign up for the e-mag to get emailed every time it comes out. The website again is YouTubeModelBuilders.com. So that's where you can find all the schedules for the Tuesday night presentations, the e-magazine when it's coming out, and the live show schedules, who's going to be on the show, what the topic of the shows are. Of course, the Thursday night shows are always a general talk show, any and everything. We welcome questions from the viewers and try and help people out the best we can with any kind of problems they might have. Feel free to come in. Like to say that if there's something particular you would like to see either in the Tuesday night presentations or even the live show, and on the Thursday night, if you would, just leave a comment to the post or go to the website and you can contact Dude. He's the lead for the Hangouts. Big Bill is the host of the live show. You can contact both of those and let them know what you would like to see, because we would certainly like to put shows on with topics that you like to see, info that you'd like to have. And with that said, I want to say thank you for participating in tonight's Hangout. I want to thank most of the guests. They've just left to go to the other Hangout. So I want to thank the viewers for coming in. Thank you for your questions. We greatly appreciate it. And this is another Thursday night. This is Ken. I'm John Graff. And good night, y'all. That's it.
Night, Johnny.
Night, crew.